Hi, my name is Rick, and we're so glad that you tuned in today. You know, this year, our middle and high schoolers have delivered 10 tons of food to a needy neighborhood just down the street from Hope. This is just one of the many things that people of Hope and their partners do to be the hands and feet of Jesus, locally and around the world. If you'd like to partner with us, here are 3 ways that you can do that. Now, another way to be a Hope partner is to like and subscribe by clicking the button below. This will allow us to continue to share the good news of Jesus with your friends, family, and people maybe that you've never met. And now let's get into it by watching this little clip. I'll be right back. Well, what a great clip. And Christmas is just 5 weeks away. Can you believe it? Everywhere you go right now, there's Christmas decor out, Christmas music playing. I was in a store yesterday and I could already see the Christmas look on people's face. You know, it looks like this. They're just hoping that they can find the right gifts that they need to get. And I get that because Christmas doesn't just happen, right? I mean, we have to prepare for it. We got to get the lights up, go get the tree, or in my case, take the tree out of the box. We've got to buy our gifts for people. It's a lot of stuff to get ready for Jesus' birthday. Well, there's another type of preparation that has to happen for Christmas to be meaningful and rich for us. It's the preparation of our soul. It's been said that you don't really know someone until you know their heart. And in this new series that we're starting today, The Heart of Christmas, we'll be looking at 4 major themes of the Christmas story: hope, peace, love, and joy. So today, let's start the journey by looking at a hope that rescues us, a hope that can anchor us. We can do strange things when we lose our hope, however, like this. A 70-year-old man was robbed a Kansas City bank and then sat down in the lobby saying he'd rather live in jail than with his wife. So when he went before the judge sentenced him to home confinement. Something he wasn't hoping for. I've seen people that have faith but somehow lost their hope. I've seen people that know a lot about the Bible but know nothing of hope. And I've seen people that are successful in some areas of their life, but lack hope in other areas. See, hope can be elusive. One minute, everything can be looking up, and then all of a sudden you wreck your car, and your whole world flips upside down. Someone walks out on you or betrays you, and all of a sudden you feel hopeless, questioning everything around you. Have you ever been there? Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever lost your hope at some time? The one thing we cannot afford to lose, however, is hope. We all need hope. Well, this is where the world was when Elijah wrote one of the most classic Old Testament prophecies about the coming birth of Jesus. See, the world had fallen into gloom and darkness and despair, and they were feeling the full weight of sin, and it had wreaked havoc on all of creation. In fact, in chapter 9 of Elijah, he offers the Jewish people something they needed most, which was hope. Hope that one day someone would come to make all things right and restore what had been broken. The birth of Jesus was the fulfillment of that hope, and the same hope is offered to us today. Paul in the New Testament describes this hope as an anchor. He said, this hope is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls. Now, it wouldn't say anchor unless there was a possibility of drifting. This is what happens in life. If we don't keep our anchor down and stay full of hope, then little by little, we start to drift, getting negative and discouraged, saying things like, I don't think I'll ever get out of debt. I'll never get well. It's been so long. See, when we get like this, something has convinced us that we need to pull up our anchor of hope. One of those things that causes us to do that is delays, like prayers not being answered when we want them to. We can think, well, why isn't God hearing my prayers? Why hasn't he healed this loved one? Why can't I find a job? Delays can cause us to doubt God and his plan for our lives. When Elijah promised that Jesus, the Messiah, was coming to the actual time in which Jesus was born, it was 700 years later. Sometimes we feel like God's timeline is not our timeline. Well, we need to understand something, that we might not be ready for God to go ahead and move. That's the case here. 700 years it took them to get into the place where they were ready for the Messiah. See, another thing that tries to convince us to pull up our anchor of hope is disappointment. It's easy to get down and want to give up, and especially when things don't go our way, and you start saying negative things like, it's never going to change. I'll never get ahead. I'll never find that right person for my life. I'll never break this addiction. I'll never have a job that I really love. See, disappointments can convince us to pull up our anchor of hope. Bad breaks can also cause us to doubt God's love for us and to get into that place of despair. You were supposed to get that promotion, but instead they gave it to someone else at work. Or you got a bad doctor's report, or your retirement got eaten up because of inflation. See, whether it's delays, disappointments, or bad breaks, if we're not careful, we'll convince ourselves that God isn't in control and that he doesn't have the best for us and we aren't in the palm of his hand and that all things aren't possible with God. And then we'll start drifting into bitterness, drifting into fear and worry. I never met a bitter person who was thankful or a thankful person who was bitter. See, the thing about bitterness is that you can't hide it. Your face gives it away. The antidote for bitterness is gratitude. So start thanking God today. And you might be saying, Rick, but you don't know my situation. My kids are driving me crazy. Well, thank God that you have kids, because some people would die to have kids. Are you able to walk? Thank God that you can feel the toes on your feet and that you have 2 feet to walk. I've got a friend who can't do any of that. He's got no legs, but he's thankful that God has allowed him to be mobile and that he's got a strong heart, strong mind, strong will. See, get intentional. When bitterness shows up, start thanking God and bitterness will begin to disappear. That's putting your anchor of hope back down when you've been convinced to pull it up. See, when you're drifting into fear, you start focusing on the storms instead of the one who created the weather. The antidote for fear is courage. We have to combat fear because it's like a bully that until you stand up to it, it won't leave you. It's going to continue to try to humiliate you, intimidate you. And you've got to have courage to fight back. Fear hates when we quote God's word. I'll never leave you. Nothing can stand in the way of God's love. What your enemy meant for harm, I will turn around for good. See, you can also drift into worry. Worry is the junk food for your fear. Worry causes your feelings causes you to feel overwhelmed and stressed out. And when all of a sudden you start to get the what ifs, what if I don't get a job? What if the doctor's report is bad? What if that person doesn't like me? See, our minds create such a mountain of doubt that it paralyzes us from taking a step of faith and moving forward. So my question for you today is this: are you drifting? Are you no longer anchored to the God of hope? Are you hopeful or feeling hopeless? Let me give you 3 simple ways that you can go through this Christmas season and start to anchor back up to that anchor of hope. The first one is keep the right perspective. That sickness can be defeated. That addiction doesn't have to control you anymore. The way you see your life will shape your life. If God is on your side, then tell me, who should I fear, Paul said. See, the odds might be against you, but the one that can change those odds is God. And he said he is for you. The second thing that you can do this Christmas season is get up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, God has something good for me today. Then say it 2 more times or until you believe it. Zig Ziglar said, we believe what we tell ourselves. He also said, people often say that this kind of motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing, but that's why we recommend it daily. Now, the third way that you can put this into practice and to anchor yourself to the God of hope is this: give hope to others. By showing unconditional love to someone, or showing appreciation to someone, or maybe it's by affirming what's right about someone, or encouraging someone to keep going. See, these 3 things practiced regularly will help you anchor yourself to hope. Next week, we're going to be looking at the benefits of peaceful living and what it brings. And so I hope that next week, I'll either see you online or on campus. See you later.